What happens when an ex-CIA counterterrorism pro works as a bodyguard in South America and allows his charge to be kidnapped and killed? Well, he goes on a rampage to avenge that death. Men on Fire was a 2004 thriller based on a book of the same name. The film is directed by the legendary Tony Scott, who brought us Top Gun, Days of Thunder, and Crimson Tide, among others. Scott is in his element here, and this film certainly shows it. Being just a few minutes shy of 2.5 hours, Scott draws the audience in and really fleshes out the characters in the movie, and there are quite a few of them. I'm glad to see a movie with multiple characters that get enough screen time to be brought to life, rather than just being vessels to convey exposition. Denzel Washington does a fabulous job as John Creasy, a former CIA counterterrorism pro and former Marine Force Recon captain. Denzel's character is a despondent alcoholic who has left his former life and now spends his time drinking and picking up odd bodyguard jobs when he's not suffering nightmares from the time in his former profession. Scott and Denzel spend some time making sure that the audience gets to know Creasy and the demons that still chase him and roll around in his head. Dakota Fanning carries the other half of the movie on her young shoulders. She does a fantastic job as Pita, the young girl that Creasy's hired to protect. Tony Scott spends the first half hour of the movie developing the relationship between Creasy and Pita. A distant Creasy initially sees Pita as simply a job to do, while Pita sees Creasy as a new friend.
You're a strong swimmer.
We never win.
Charming and tenacious, Pita eventually wins Creasy over, and he begins to take an interest in her and her development, standing in for her workaholic father at times. Later, Denzel is shot multiple times trying to defend Pita from kidnappers, but is unsuccessful. After he gets out of the hospital, he finds out that the kidnappers ransomed Pita for $10 million, but something went wrong with the drop, and Pita was killed in retaliation. Denzel sets out to destroy the organization that kidnapped Pita and kill anyone involved in her death. I really like the style and artistic direction of the film. Tony Scott was a masterful director, and he is full on in his element with this film. There's enough time taken to flesh out the characters in the film, especially Pita and Creasy, and the audience generally cares about the relationship between the two. Denzel helps you see the world through the eyes of a man that has done many horrible and unspeakable things to make the world a better place for other people. But for Creasy, the world is not the same. He is a hollowed out shell of a man until he meets Pita. In this way, the vengeance that Creasy seeks is validated and deserved. It reminds me of the way movies used to be made, spending some time drawing the audience in before cutting to the chase. These days, movies like to hit the throttle right from the opening credits, and maybe we get to learn about the characters later, maybe we don't. Perhaps that's a result of our always plugged-in society that has become used to getting information in TikTok-sized 60-second video bites, but that's a discussion for later.
I got all the time in the world. You don't, but I do.
If you're looking for a great action thriller movie with a pretty simple but adequate plot and great character development, this is a movie for you. Tony Scott rarely disappointed, and this movie is a good way to spend an evening. Man on Fire is currently streaming on Max.